17 billion Egyptian pounds. Egypt has suffered from an economic crisis following the 2011 revolution, during which growth slowed to 2%, although it is now expected to recover to 4% by the end of the current fiscal year. At the beginning of the current fiscal year, energy and electricity subsidies were cut and new taxes were introduced to an effort to reduce a growing budget deficit. Al-Arabi said that public investments will be 180 billion Egyptian pounds through government investments, economic entities and public sector companies, while the remaining 235 billion pounds are expected from private investments. He added that the state budget will only feature 55 billion pounds in government investments, while the rest will be financed from various sources, including grants and external loans. In March, Egypt hosted an economic development conference through which $34.2 billion American dollars worth of investment deals were signed. In addition, Gulf countries pledged $12 billion in aid and investment in Egypt, half of which were received by the central bank in April. The Ministry of Finance showed in a 5-year fiscal plan released last October that the government is targeting 6% of growth by 2018-2019, a budget deficit of 8 to 9% of the GDP, and a debt to GDP ratio of 80 to 85%. Al-Arabi said that by 2018-2019, the investment rate should reach 24% and foreign reserves should mount to 28 billion American dollars, up from the current 20.5 billion American dollars. Meanwhile, the finance ministry said that Egypt expects greater investment and outgoing fiscal reforms to boost the economic growth in the 2015-2016 fiscal year to 4.5 to 5% and the shrink to budget deficit to 9.5 to 10% of the gross domestic product. The government is pushing an economic agenda focused on reforming taxes and subsidies while attracting billions of dollars from foreign investors scared away by political turmoil that began with the 2011 uprising.
We're back and you're still watching the Daily Debate live from Cairo. It's always a pleasure to be joined by Dr. Fakhri Al-Fiqi, who is the former assistant to the IMF executive director and economic expert. Dr. Fiqi, thank you very much for coming.
Many thanks. Many thanks.
Well, as the report highlighted, that Egypt is targeting a 5% growth in GDP during the fiscal year 2015-2016, with investments that are worth 417 billion Egyptian pounds. How far can this be achievable?
Well, this could be achievable by, say, encouraging more investment to be forthcoming in Egypt within the coming fiscal year. And I think Sharm el-Sheikh conference give a positive image of Egyptian economy performance. And I think we also, Sharm el-Sheikh Economic Conference was a successful conference, attracted, say, foreign direct investment.
Right.
Almost, say, 60 billion. That was a memo of understanding to make it, say, achievable and to be materialized. It will need, say, a number of years. So in the fiscal year, next fiscal year 15-16, in order to, say, to motivate investors to be forthcoming to Egypt, I think we have to tackle, say, three main, say, challenges. The first one is bureaucracy and corruption.
And the president tackled the issue of fighting corruption in this address.
Yes, almost three days ago.
Right.
So we have to work hard on this issue because, say, bureaucracy and corruption is still, say, deep-rooted in the, governmental agencies. In addition to this, say, we have tourism. Terrorism, say, needs to be, say,
drying up all the sources of terrorism.
Yes. So whether, say, terrorism, say, all around us or inside Egypt, I think we are better off than before. But, you know, say, we need to work hard on this because foreign direct investment and Arab direct investment and indirect investment, you know, say, normally they are taking into consideration, you know, say, the stability, security stability, in addition to the, I mean, to have, you know, say, economic, political stability. So the parliament election is very important to have a parliament. For
the lost backbone of the roadmap.
Of course. For any investor, normally who want to inject any fresh money unless, you know, say, there is, you know, say, judicial stability. I mean, you know, say, the parliament, you know, say, is the only one to, you know, say, approve those, you know, say, laws and decrees by presidential decrees. So they have to review it within, as you know, according to the constitution, it has to be reviewed within 15 years once we have a parliament. So the parliament, you know, structure is very important to the future of Egypt. So I think investors want to inject, you know, say, fresh money as much as we expect, unless we, you know, say, we have stability, judicial and laws, I mean, legal stability in Egypt. So those are the three main challenges for Egypt, to have those expected and estimated investment by the Ministry of Planning. So next year, as Dr. Ashraf Al-Arabi mentioned, that, you know, say, we'll have, you know, 417 billion Egyptian pounds to be, you know, say, gross investment. So in order to achieve 5%. And also to, you know, say, create more jobs for,
job opportunities, definitely,
for the Egyptians, youth, and to reduce unemployment from, you know, say, the highest rate of, right now it's 13%, almost down from 13.5 that was before. So here, I think, you know, say, we have to work hard on, you know, say, creating more jobs for, you know, for Egyptians, especially, you know, say, the high school, technical, vocational schools,
training.
Yes, and yes. And also university graduates. So I think, you know, say, because unemployment is very huge among those age.
Yeah, the issue of unemployment, and we hear always that there are fairs that are being held, Mr. Izzeddin, in a sense of collaboration. How is the Chamber working in that respect of making use of the potential of the youth?
Well, we had a program, and we already put it in effect with Manpower Ministry, which is going to train and employ in factories 10,000 people. I think this is like a start, just to show the people that we can do. I mean, we can train and employ them in...
so train them first and then employ them.
Yes.
It's a whole program.
Yes, it's a whole program, and the first one is 10,000, which is going to be this month. Going.
Do you have a short-term goals for this project and long-term goals? I mean, the 10,000 could be doubled in the future. How are you working on that?
It's not going to be double, it's going to be tripled.
That's great.
And fourth and fifth. It is like, we call it like a pilot project is going to be done. So we think people without working, without vocational training, as he's said, we are not going to be in advance. We have to have vocational training. This is a very, I mean, one of the main goals of education now is vocational training. We like to have it in power and strong, to have people working and train them before they are in the street.
Right. Well, many prospects, Mr. Fi'i, you talked about bureaucracy and corruption, which is very important, that we would fight bureaucracy and corruption to move forward on the way of sustainable development. You talked about terrorism as a very important fight that should be addressed so that we would enjoy a sense of security that is going to make an atmosphere conducive for investments. How about the IMF's view to the sense of security and the sense of economic stability for Egypt meanwhile?
Well,
and you were close to those circles.
Of course, well, the IMF normally he's taking a surveillance of the economic performance of its member countries, the 188 member countries, including Egypt, as a matter of fact. they came to Egypt. We invited them to come to have this review. That was in almost November 2014, almost 5 months ago. They couldn't come, say, in the last 4 years, but once we invited and we have stability and our economy start to recover, show some signs of recovery. So they came and reviewed the performance of the Egyptian economy. Mainly they focus on the economic performance. However, their conclusion and their report, all in all, it was positive that the Egyptian economy start to recover, and they are expecting that the Egyptian economy will grow at, roughly 4% this fiscal year 14-15. And also they commended the Egyptian government that, they start, creating, decent employment opportunities, but still they have to work hard on this. Of course, they were talking, they were focusing mainly on the issue of inflation. So the Egyptian government should work hard on to reduce inflation rate, because there is rigidity in, the prices to go downward. So they are encouraging and urging the Egyptian government to work hard on, the issue of prices, because higher prices and higher inflation, this would affect the poor people. I mean, all people in Egypt, but the poor people in particular. So they will suffer a lot, and it will affect, the poverty. This could, increase the number of poor people in Egypt, especially the middle class in Egypt. They will be affected by inflation rate. Inflation rate average, in the last 4 years at between 10 to 12%. This, if you compare this to other countries, emerging economies like India, China, not America or not Europe or other countries like Japan. In America, Japan, inflation rate there is less than 1%, closer to be 0%.
Right.
In emerging markets, between 3 to 5%. So in Egypt,
what we doing sufficient? What sort of a vision could we carry on in that respect? Are what we doing sufficient?
Of course, we have to have a national economic and social reform, economic reform program, and in more details, and to be transparent to the Egyptians. Right now, there are guidelines. It's like, guidelines or main points for, economic reforms. In my understanding, and I believe that, every minister is doing his best in order to have his own measures and safeguards, and I mean economic and social reforms. But they are not, there is no orchestrated, and harmony in their measures.
So there should be a better sense of
they are
coordination.
doing very good. Minister of Planning, they are but if you try to govern, the central bank govern, he's doing his best in order to streamline, the exchange rate, to make the official rate closer to the black market, or the black market to, to disappear. He's doing his best, but my understanding is
concerted efforts.
Concerted effort will make
in a sense of
inflation rate will go
collaboration.
down. If you look at, the governor of central bank, he has to reduce the money supply within the veins of the Egyptian economy. So we have a huge money supply. This, pressuring prices and make prices going up. Also, the Minister of Finance is making his, economic, fiscal reforms, but it normally, it makes, the economy overheated and make prices going up. If you go to the Minister of Industry and the Trade, so all of them, they have to work hard on this, in the issue of reducing inflation rate. If we have concerted effort within, you know, say, economic and social reform program. And this one should be reviewed by those House of Experts, international House of Experts. I mean by international House of Experts like IMF and World Bank. So we are member in those institutions, and we have, you know, say, we have rights in order to invite them to come and review. We are not asking for, you know, say, loans from the IMF right now. It's premature to ask for, I mean, loan. I mean, to get finance from the IMF and World Bank. It's premature to talk about this, especially, you know, you have financial package from the Gulf area to fill the financial gap for this year. Next year, I don't know yet, but anyway, so I think it's better to ask the IMF and World Bank to come. If we have, you know, say, a detailed program, a national detailed program, comprehensive one, to be implemented gradually over the coming 10 years, and to phase it in a number of phases. Phase number 1, 3 years, phase number 2, 6 years, parallelly. And the last one, to build, you know, what we call it, the social safety net or protection safety net, in order to, I mean, narrow the gap between poor and rich in Egypt over the coming 10 years. Those three elements of the program to eliminate the financial imbalances within the economy. I mean, fiscal budget and balance of payment, liquidity within the veins of the Egyptian economy, not to pressure the prices. This is number one. The second one is to restructure the Egyptian, you know, say, economy, mean structures. So in this case, I think, in addition, as I mentioned before, the social safety net. If we have those three elements designed in a concerted, you know, say, way, this will lead, you know, say, Egypt to be better over the coming 10 years, and then the economy will be back to normal, like, you know, say, other emerging economy. It will be among the emerging economy.
And we will be on the right track, right? You want to add something? Yeah.
Because you see, we like to see a vision for Egypt, a vision in 2020, 2030. We put all what he said in a vision, so we have it. We have it translated into action. So that's what we need, because you see, every minister come changes the previous one. You don't have a fixed one. That's what we're
building on concerted efforts.
Let me add to this. You know, say I think we experience this kind of, you know, say, detailed economic, comprehensive economic and social program. We used to call it, you know, say, ERSAP. Economic Reform and Structural Adjustment Program, that was implemented from 1991 till 1997 during Atif Sadi government. This program was, you know, marvelous, and it was a success.
One of the successful ones.
Yes,
one of the successful
programs in Egypt.
Mr. Azzeddine, talking about Egypt's atmosphere conducive for investment, we're working on the new Suez Canal project, and investors are talking about the Golden Triangle and the full industrial zone. What is Canada's contribution?
Well, Canada contribute in, as you said, in the mining sector. I mean, 60% of the companies for mining all over the world is in Canada. We have a huge expertise, technology. We can use all of that in, like what they said, the Golden Triangle. We can use it in Sinai. We are working now in Sinai because this sector is a very important one. We're working in different aspects, like health one, to improve the health in Sinai. In Sinai. We're going to introduce training for the youth there. We're going to have the medical system in all these hospitals. We're going to train them. We're going to making them it's equivalent to what we see in Canada medical system in Egypt. We have to see that This is our dream to see it in Egypt.
Yes. The logistics hub for grains in Damietta, other important projects that are there, and what returns, what sort of fruit are we expected to be bearing from those projects?
Well, with respect to this logistic hub in Damietta, I think this is a great project, but the question is how to do it, how to implement it. I understand that the Minister Khalid Hanafi, the Minister of Supply, went to America and went to the mercantile, market there. I mean, the mercantile market there, they are selling commodities like sugar, like wheat, like other, commodities. I think if we also we need, other ministries to collaborate with the Minister of Supply. And I think we need more finance for this project. It's a huge finance. This will benefit, the suppliers like Australia, because we are the second country in consuming wheat and wheat flour. So if we can, get, the help from France and Canada and Australia, America, and the area of, importing enough wheat for our consumption, and the rest would be, sold to our neighboring countries, Arab countries and African countries. In addition, we can establish, some other industries, like, oil, edible oil from wheat and corn. If we store those, in the hub, so we can build more industry and more value added, and utilize, those grains, stored in the hub in this case, and we can generate more employment opportunities for Egyptians. In addition, we can create some sort of urban community there to expand the governorates of Damietta. So Damietta is, the people of Damietta, they are very, very, active, and they know how to create money and how to make value added in this case. So this area is very important.
Practicing business by nature.
Of course, they are business.
I'd like to comment on this Damietta, because we're going to have a huge project in Damietta with the Commercial Chamber of Commerce in Damietta. We're going to sign with them, so we're going to train the employee there. Also, he mentioned about the finance. I think finances in Egypt is very easy now. You see what's happening in Qanat Suez. You got for the 64 billion in 1 week. I think this is, I think this is what we can see, that Egypt, it's full of money. And
this
not
is
in
the
the
sense
bank.
of belonging.
It's not in the bank, it's
With
outside the
Egyptians.
bank.
It's a miracle, yes.
So you have money there.
Consider it a miracle.
But it's a sense of belonging, reflected.
It's a national sense.
It's a, yes.
But the Egyptians, once they trust their leaders, and this would tackle, a national sense and the history of...
How can we build on that spirit? I mean, it's a very important...
we can build a lot. We can build on it,
the spirit that we have seen also at Sharm el-Sheikh.
I was wondering, we can, why we can finance Daba, nuclear facility by making, a corporation, and by, selling, by public offering, by selling stocks to the Egyptians. Inside Egypt, they will participate in Egyptian pounds, but Egyptians working abroad, they can buy the stocks in dollars, the equivalent of dollars in this case. So once we talk to the Egyptians and make this, to finance this huge project of Daba nuclear
what
facility.
What sort of incentives can we provide for Egyptians living abroad to share?
They will profit a lot because we...
High interest.
No interest. It's different from Suez Canal. Suez Canal, it's a certificate of investment.
Right.
So you have to give them, you know, say, an interest rate.
But for Egyptians living abroad, yeah, how
no,
can
I mean
we put
that's Suez Canal is different.
It's different story.
But if you establish, to finance the Daba nuclear facility, in this case, it's a profitable project. So this profit will be distributed among the shareholders. Shareholders will be Egyptians working abroad or Egyptians inside Egypt. Everyone will get his, you know, say, share of profit. We call it dividend. So I think if we build on, you know, what happened in financing Suez Canal, the equivalent of 64 billion Egyptian pounds, equivalent of $8.5 billion. I remember when I was in Washington almost a few months ago, attending the annual meeting of the IMF and World Bank, and Christine Lagarde, the managing director of the IMF, she was smiling. She said she was addressing the people, you know, so one of the meeting. She said, well, she was talking to, you know, say, the matter of Suez Canal, and she's addressing Egyptian delegates there. She was smiling, said, it seems that the Egyptians, they have a lot of money, and it seems also they don't need the IMF to finance.
I can tell you a funny story. We as a Canadian Chamber of Commerce, we like to participate in collecting money for the Suez Canal, and before we start, we got a call from Central Bank of Egypt, stop, we already closed.
Yeah, and this is the sense of belonging. Those are Egyptians who really love their country, and when they feel that there is a serious intention to build, they are there.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Even, you know, I followed, you know, say, the speech of President Fattah al-Sisi that was 2 days ago. Right. He was talking about he did not you know, say, tackle international issues, but mainly domestic issues.
Mainly domestic and developmental.
Talking about, you know, say, I tried to get you to quote some of those, you know, say, for the poorest 1,200 villages or 1,200 villages. He will the government will devote 500 million or half billion from the fund of Tahya Masr fund. So $500 million will be devoted to improve the standard of living of those poor village. Also, Suez Canal, he mentioned that will finish by 6th of August.
And that invitations have been sent to heads of state.
Yes, I mean, that's I went, you know, on a trip almost a week ago to Suez Canal. We sailed in the new Suez Canal. It's ready.
It's beautiful.
Yes,
important moments and optimistic moments to come. I thank very much Dr. Fakhri Al-Fiqi, former assistant to the IMF Executive Director. Thank you very much, Dr. Fiqi, for coming. I thank very much Mr. Faiz Izzuddin, who is head of the Canadian Chamber of Commerce. Thank you very much, sir, for being here on the Daily Debate with us tonight. Thank you very much
indeed. And I hope that we see Egypt also in the front of every state.
Yeah, Egypt forward ever. Long live Egypt. Thanks for watching. I'm Tagreed Hussein, and that was the Daily Debate live from Cairo.